Hey, how about it, race fans? Richard Allen of motorsportsreport.net, and I'm coming at you with another one of my Rich's ramblings. And on this edition, I'm titling it, We May Never See Anything Like This Again. And what I'm talking about, as far as what we might never see again, is having two drivers like we had this past year have such dominant seasons. You know, in the past, we've had one driver to have really dominant season, Jonathan Davenport back in 2015, then again in 2022 when he in 22 when he won almost $2 million in prize money that year. We had Brandon Overton back in 2021 when he won all those races up at Eldora when they were doing the makeup races for the ones that were lost in the COVID year. Brandon Sheppard back in 2019 won three races. It paid more than $100,000 to win. So we've had one individual driver to have really big seasons, but this past year we had two drivers that had amazing seasons. So between Ricky Thornton Jr. and Bobby Pierce, each of those two guys won over 30 races. I mean, that's incredible. It's almost unbelievable that you have two guys to win that many races. I guess it was aided by the fact that they run on two different tours. You know, Thornton ran on the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series tour, and Pierce was on the World of Outlaws Case Construction Late Model Series tour. So, in many instances, they were separated from each other, so that gave each of them a chance to dominate in their respective series. But then at the same time, there were some times when they were together, and there's a couple of really top-notch head-to-head battles that I can remember from back in the past season at the Prairie Dirt Classic up at Fairbury. Thornton won out there in that World of Outlaws sanctioned race with Pierce running second. It was a great race all throughout. And then they had another great race at the North-South 100 at Florence Speedway, which Lucas Oil sanctioned with Pierce winning out there. Not only was Thornton in that, but Hudson O'Neal was in the mix in that race for a long time as well. So made for an incredible season all around, when either when they were racing separately and piling up huge numbers of wins, or when they were racing together and having those great head-to-head battles. But you know, my history in dirt late model racing really only goes back to around 2008, 2010. Somewhere in there. So maybe there have been seasons like this, say back when Scott Bloomquist and Billy Moyer were dominating, winning everything. Maybe there were years where the two of them combined to have really great seasons, but that's kind of predates me as far as my coverage of this sport goes. So this past year with Thornton and Pierce doing what they did, it was just amazing. You know, if you break it down, Pierce had a total of 34 wins. He was the World of Outlaws champion. He picked up huge wins, $50,000 win at Deer Creek, which was a Lucas Oil sanctioned race. He got $50,000 for winning the USA Nationals at Cedar Lake up in Wisconsin. That was World of Outlaws sanctioned. He won that North-South 100 for $75,000, Lucas Oil sanctioned. He's already the World of Outlaws champion. He's already the Castrol Flow Racing Night in America champion, and he's got a really good shot at winning the XR Super Series. So in reality, he could wind up as a three-time champion in the same season, which is amazing. So he had a huge year. It's a year that any dirt racer would love to call their own. Then if you look at Thornton, Thornton had a total of 38 wins. Now, not all of those wins were in a late model. He ran some other stuff throughout the year too. He was, I guess we could call him the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series regular season champ, if we want to do like NASCAR, where they crown a regular season champion before they go into their playoffs. Of course, the Lucas Oil used the chase for the championship format this year, which only really boiled down to one race. They took the top four going into the Dirt Track World Championship at Eldora and let them race it out among those four only. Whichever one came out finishing ahead was the Lucas champion. In a rain-filled weekend on a pretty rough track up at Eldora, Hudson O'Neal wound up coming in a really close second behind Brandon Sheppard in that race, but Sheppard wasn't in the championship mix. O'Neal was, so he just did beat out Devin Moran there. Jonathan Davenport and Ricky Thornton were the two other contenders, and they had issues throughout that race. So Hudson O'Neal wound up as the Lucas Oil champion despite the fact that going into that race, Ricky Thornton had built up a lead of more than 500 points. So we'll call him the regular season champion. Look at some of the other stuff that he won. He picked up a $50,000 Lucas Oil win at Smoky Mountain Speedway there, not far from my home in Maryville, Tennessee. He got $50,000 for winning the Firecracker 100 at the Lernerville Speedway up in Pennsylvania, another Lucas Oil sanctioned race. Then, like I talked about before, when he won that head-to-head duel with Pierce, he won the Prairie Dirt Classic at Fairbury, which is a World of Outlaws sanctioned race, and he won the $50,000 Knoxville Late Model Nationals. So, an incredible season. Either way you look at either one of them, and it's an incredible season. It would be extremely hard for me to pick a driver of the year. I mean, I guess at some point we'll put out some sort of a piece on our website saying who I thought was the driver of the year, and I guess we'll have to pick one. But picking between those two is going to be incredibly difficult with all that they compiled, all that they accomplished during the year. So will we ever see anything like that again? It's hard to imagine that you could have two drivers to be that dominant in the same year. It's not difficult to imagine having one driver, like I've already pointed out with Davenport twice, Overton and Shepard, both having put up really big numbers in one season, but to have two to do it simultaneously, that's just amazing when you think about the only way that could have been done was for them to be running on two different series. If they had run head-to-head all season long, you think the odds would say that they would have split 50-50, kind of like they did in their few head-to-head matches that they did during the year. So anyway, we'll see further on down the road. I mean, who knows? Maybe this comes to be the way of things from now on. I kind of doubt it, but maybe it will. So we may never see anything like this again, where we have two drivers to have such amazing seasons as Bobby Pierce and Ricky Thornton Jr. had. But for right now, that's all I got for now. This is Richard Allen of motorsportsreport.net, which, by the way, our site, my son, if I haven't heard, I'm no longer with InsideDirtRacing.com or InsideCircleTrack.com. Not because anything went wrong there, but because this new project gives me an opportunity to work with my sons. And my oldest son, Cody, is a junior at the University of Tennessee, computer science major. So he's building the new website. He's building it from the ground up. It's a good thing to put on his resume, and anything I can do to help out one of my kids, that's what I'm going to do. So we'll hopefully have that up and running. But for now, we have a Facebook page, Motorsports Report, on Facebook. So look that up. Also, we're using a blog spot, which I'll link either to that Facebook page or to my own Twitter or X account, where I'm at Richard Allen MSR on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Threads. I don't really use Threads that much. I'm kind of trying to get in the groove there. But until later, this is Richard Allen, and I will see you at the track.